Okay, here we have a question from Danny, and he wants to know how to fade an object, how to make an object larger, and by moving it closer, increasing the size, and then fading it out. And I gave him suggestions with 4 different steps on how he could do that. And I said I would try to make a video. So here is my response to his question. And here we have a static scene where we have an object in the foreground and we got a moving background kind of. And what we want to do is we want to make 2 copies of this clip. And in the first clip, what we want to do is just cut out the object here. And we can do that by selecting the clip, go to AI matting. We start here with basic. We go to AI matting, and then we go down to smart cutout. And with Smart Cutout, we can use the brush to select just what we want. Now I've reset the brush size to 10. Maybe I'll set it to 5. Normally it comes in at 30. So the smaller the brush, the more it's going to take to select what we need. But I think we can here kind of stay within the bounds of the object that we're trying to do, without having too much of the background, kind of like that. And we're really careful here. I kind of did that. Let's see if we, and now that I hold down the control key and use the scroll, I get this little box here. So now I can recenter this object here. I don't really want this area in there. I'm going to try to shift it over here to the checkered background, and I'm going to use the eraser at the same scale here. Now, maybe I'll go back to 10 because the eraser only erases what it touches. It doesn't try to select anything else. And let's see if we can do that. And you can see that it didn't select anything else other than what we touched. Now you can spend a lot of time on this. I'm not going to do that for the purposes of this demonstration here because I'm just wasting time. But the point is that one would detail as much as one could. Okay, now we're just going to restore it here. So I'm holding down this control key and I'm going to scroll it up until it's about right. Okay, so now we have more or less the object that we want. When we click apply, this mask is going to be applied to the entire clip. So let's go ahead and apply that. And we can see that it's scrolling along here. And so now what we have is a video clip where our object is kind of stationary. If I'd been more careful in here, the stars in the background wouldn't be moving. But be that as it may, that's fine. I'm going to take off the magnetic timeline because we want this to be our top track. And we're going to take another copy of the track and we're going to put it down below. And obviously this at this point now is identical. So now we have the stars back. We're going to take off we're going to make the top track invisible. This is where we have our object. Now in the second part here, what we need to do is we want to remove this object from the scene. And so for that again, we will go ahead and go back to basic because ironically this tool is not locating in the AI matting, it's located in the basic. And we want to go down to object remover. It works on the same concept. And I'm frankly not quite sure how this magic is, but you get one free try. And in experimenting for this, I already used up my one free try. Let's just see what this magic thing here. I don't seem to be able to select what I want here. I think it's kind of like the AI matting portrait cutout. I think it's meant to cut out people. So we're going to have to use this smart brush again to remove the object. Now this object is stationary in the video clip. It doesn't move. And we're trying to, again, I probably should have been using the size 5 brush. I'm not trying to be perfect. I'm just trying to demonstrate how to remove an object here. And let's see, yeah, it did pretty good. In fact, it did a little bit better job than before. And it's going to go ahead and charge my 100 credits right here. And what it's going to do now, it's going to go through and process every single frame. Okay, so now our processing is complete, and I should have probably started from the beginning, but we can see that the starship has been completely removed from our background scene. And this is why I say that if you can have the scene without the object, you can save yourself 100 credits. But we can now bring back our starship right here. And the only thing we want to do now is we want to fly it across the screen and make it larger and make it fade out. So we make sure we select that, and then we on basic, let's go all the way up to the transform and compositing sections. The compositing, we're going to use that for the fade, and the transform, we're going to use that for the size and position. So those are two different operations. So we'll go ahead and start by adding a keyframe for this location and this size. Then let's go all the way to the end over here. We could have done Shift N to move right to the end. It actually moves one frame beyond the end. And then we can go ahead and change our X position and something like that. Change our Y position, something like this, maybe over here. Not too close because we want to make the ship larger, and we can see that it moves, so we'll have to adjust it. So let's adjust the X. And we'll have it over here, and let's just go up, 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 up. And before we add our fade, let's just play it back. And here we go. It's getting larger and larger and larger because we've got our keyframes. Now, we don't want it to fade out right away. We want it to fade out somewhere in here, maybe. Let's just fade it right here. And up until this point, the opacity is 100%. So in other words, it's not transparent. And then we'll go to the last frame right here, and we will go ahead and change the opacity to 0. So now we have our fade right there. And then if we start from the beginning, here we go. Our object is moving, and it fades out. And that's basically how you would do it. But again, if you could film the scene twice, that is without the object in it, and then film it again with the object in it, then that would be much cheaper, because then all you have to do is use the AI matting in order to remove it, just as long as you have two identical clips. That's basically how you do it.